And we are live. Welcome to episode 83 of Player Life. It is Wednesday, the 17th of March here in Tokyo. What up, guys? Yeah. Had a good day here in Tokyo. Nice sunny spring day. It was sweet. Went to the park, did a workout, saw some hot chicks as usual. Another day in the life. Um, guys, one of the most red pilling things you can experience is when you get in shape. When you get in good shape, you'll notice how women will pay you more attention. You'll actually see it. Um, so physical fitness is definitely important. No, it was like 18 degrees today, and we're doing outdoor calisthenics workout. Pull-up bars, push-ups, sit-ups, um, you know, whatever, all the calisthenics things. And it was hot, so we took off our shirts. But like when we did that, we were getting a lot of looks, and it was good. But yeah, definitely has to be done. Has to be done. I saw some. There was some cute girl sitting around. I got a number, but Gabriel E in the house says, Law Failure Parish Sonadich, Intok Way. I have a bit of Irish here. Yeah, St. Patrick's Day. I just realized that earlier. I was like, yeah, it's Law Failure Parish, St. Patrick's Day here in Tokyo, but uh, didn't celebrate it. I don't think there was much on. I don't know. Usually in there's usually a parade in Tokyo, St. Patrick's Day parade, but I don't think it was on this year. Maybe it was. I don't know. I doubt it though. Probably cancelled it. Um, I think that's being cancelled all over the world. It's crazy that we're going into the second year of stuff being cancelled still. Um, but yeah, that's some good Irish. Where are you from, Gabriel? Where are you from again? Yeah. Um, Problematic in the house. What is up? Hope you are well. Hope you are well indeed. Um, yeah, St. Patrick's Day in Ireland. When I was growing up, it's just like basically just a piss up. Everyone gets drunk. Pretty stereotypical. But I remember when I was growing up, you know, we would have some good, like, St. Patrick's Day was a day when you're a teenager. Like everyone would do underage drinking, but for some reason there was always a banging house party on St. Patrick's Day. Someone always had a house party. They were good times indeed. Uh, Gabriel says he's from San Diego. I'm impressed you knew some Irish there. It's good stuff. So one of the tragedies about Ireland is that the national language is not spoken. It's like a minor. It's spoken by an extreme minority. Um, it's basically there's more Polish speakers in Ireland than there are Irish speakers now, and that's a sad. Nothing against Polish people, but Polish people are great, but it's pretty sad that there's more. There's actually more. I think there's actually even more French speakers in Ireland than there are Irish speakers. It's really bad. But I'm actually fluent in Irish. I can speak Irish pretty fluently. Um, but I went out of my way to kind of learn it. Like, they teach it in schools and whatnot, but you know, in daily life, you're not going to hear it on the streets. You'll see it on street signs, and it's kind of pathetic that people can't speak their national language. It's embarrassing, actually. But yeah, I mean, I used to speak it with some friends of mine, but you have to kind of go out of your way to do that to find people that can speak it. But yeah, I think Ireland is, yeah, it's one of the only European countries. Yeah, I think, what is it? England left the European Union and Ireland is the largest English speaking country in Europe now, which is a sad fact. What an embarrassment of a country. I used to love Ireland, but I honestly, place kind of sickens me now. Not see, I went from being very patriotic to just being very, yeah. I guess I'm bitter about the place now, just how shit it's turned out. Um, yeah, I don't know. Whenever I hear people bitching about, what England did in the past, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Yeah, bad things happen, but like, pretty much Ireland has been it's been an independent country since the 1920s. So like it has had 100 years of independence, and it's still, so there's not really an excuse for people not to be able to speak the national language. But anyway, I'm rambling on. Side note, history lesson about Ireland. Um, yeah, but yeah. But today I saw this tweet about I don't know. I just have to talk about it because it's just so crazy to think. I'll just share it and then I'll talk about it. um, okay. All right. So, Mayor of London, his name is Sadiq Khan, I believe. Sadiq Khan, he says, there's no good reason why 65% of people working in science and engineering should be white men. Inequality costs people's futures and the economy billions. We're looking on fixing it. We've so far helped 10,000 young Londoners learn these subjects so they can follow their dreams. All right. Okay, so let's just imagine the ethnicities were changed around in this tweet. Why is this acceptable, or why is this progressive? Why is this a progressive thing to say? There's no good reason why 65% of people working in science and engineering should be white men. I mean, the last I heard, England was the UK was majority white country. I mean, what is it? It's like, imagine saying there's no good reason why 65% of people working in science and engineering should be, say, black men in Nigeria or something. What, like, imagine the hysteria there would be if someone said that. But here we are, and this is just some kind of progressive, cool statement, and it would be like, it wouldn't be such a big deal if it was, this was just a random, just a minority of people that think that like this. But there's just millions of people who think like this. Problematic says that dude is a clown. He's an absolute clown. I despise him. I wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire. I love that expression. I would not piss on him if he was on fire. It's a great expression. It just shows how much disdain you have for someone. It's a great. Another one I like is like, it boils my piss. Expressions using piss are often very good. But yeah, it is what it is. So it got me thinking about, how just how crazy, the double standards are. Why is it okay to just hate on white people constantly? But I don't know. It's just everyone, the whole mainstream media does it pretty much. Remember there was an MTV ad about like, dear white people, and they had a big list of things that white people needed to do to, better themselves or better this, that, and the other. And it was, but honestly, I think, the biggest kind of proponent, or the biggest group that kind of spreads this kind of ideology is, to be honest, like, is white women. It's honestly, white women are almost the biggest enemy of white men. They're the ones that, constantly disparage and kind of support this kind of propaganda. But let me see. so I just did a bit of research, and I found, you know, there's just so much content. You know, dear white people, dear this, that, and the other, like, constant, like it's just incessant, just chitter, just garbage, like, and you know, the only people that wins over is absolute like pussified, like losers, like the worst kind of men. The worst kind of men would like agree to the worst kind of white men would be like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm so problematic, and I need to say sorry, and I need to be condescending, and I need to pretend that, oh, it just sickens my whole, man. I swear to God, if anyone apologizes for their skin color, no matter what color you are, if you apologize for it, you're an absolute wimp. You're an absolute twerp, you know. And no one's denying that shit happened in the past, and this, that, and the other, and you know, colonization, and you know, all that happened. Like, but you know, as I said, every country has some cobweb. Every culture on planet Earth have some cobwebs. You know, has engaged in bad things. But you know, we're living in the modern world. You know, where you know you really shouldn't be. You just really shouldn't be judging people on the color of their skin. It's like, and it's hilarious to think that a lot of the people that are saying that are people on the right, like people. It's like people on the right now are saying, please, like, stop judging people on the color of their skin. How did things become so like upside down? But yeah, I don't know. Let me just share this. Actually, it's this. By the way, this is a parody, but I wanted to share. I want to share it because it's I don't know. It's just a good example of you know, the way it just explains what I'm talking about. Where is it? It's just a short clip. Let me check it. And just to reiterate, I know this is a parody video. This is not real, but it almost is real. This is what like these progressives and womanists believe. Where is it at? Okay. All right. Again, this is a parody. I do not think this is a real thing, but
in 2016, we as a society agreed that white men were the problem. Then in the past few years...
Okay, so this is a parody, but just pay attention to the headings. These are all real headings that they clip in.
That hatred's...
White women, you need to talk about racism.
Started getting misplaced.
White female privilege. This is all propaganda. You can go down the rabbit hole about it, but personally, I think it's a bit of a hot take, but I honestly think it's a sophisticated propaganda war that's being actually disseminated by possibly China, but who knows?
Fuck, I miss 2016. Yes, queen, and calling dudes all right. This pussy grabs back. Lena Dunham. Tearing down the patriarchy. Being sluts. And we're repaid with articles like white women have a serious problem. Fuck off. Yeah, we do have a problem. White men. I'll get it. How white women use themselves as instruments of terror. It's like the last time I checked, terrorists are white men. We hated Jimmy Fallon for a half a second, maybe. Michael Cera is definitely up to something. Why don't we finish the task at hand?
Okay, look at that. It doesn't say what website, but this was obviously an article. White men who are arrogant pricks.
Task at
any other ethnicity or race, that's like, it's going to be, you know.
Hand before we find a new demo to hate. Is that...
Here's another one. The soullessness of straight white men. So, by the way, these are not. This is not a parody. Obviously the video is a parody, but these headings are real. They're not made up.
Oh, to hate. Is that crazy? Am I crazy? Like, you wouldn't even know what a demisexual was if it wasn't for us. I thought being binary. How is this fat cow getting married and not me? Oh, sorry, we took a few photos when we were literally building schools. Sorry for being helpful. Really apologize. Us marginalized minorities, we need to stick together.
Am I finally done with white guys? Again, you know, reverse any other race.
Self-care, therapists, toxic masculinity. I went to every protest and I pulled out.
Why are so many white men so angry? I wonder why.
Pulled out my tits. Sorry, we're just trying to help because we went to college at a higher rate than.
What was it? The Karen Becky meme has officially gone too far. No, it has not. It has not gone far enough. We need to, because it's so true.
Higher rate than these. Cut that. Looking at Kamala's plan, don't see white men anywhere. So unless you disagree with Kamala, it's time for unity against guys who look like this. Time to heal the relationship between us and Latinas. This is what an article should look like, and this is what an article looks like now. Great. Article looks like now. Great.
When feminism is white supremacy in heels. I love how they eat their own. From tone policing to white splaining, the liberal white women's feminism is more toxic than, it's just how the alt-right sexism lures men into white supremacy.
This is what an article looks like now.
Great work, guys. Great shoot.
Oh, here we go.
The problem with white men.
The problem with white men. It's 2016. I hate being single.
There's so much truth in that. You know, the references to, marriage and being single and all this shit. There's so much truth in it. Affy Kingdom in the house. What is up, my man? What is good? Hope you're well, bro. Hope you are well. But there's so much truth in that parody skit. You know, I like how these obnoxious, condescending white women, complaining about other, being jealous about other women getting married, complaining about being single. And they wonder why they're single. And like all of them women have hit the wall. Obviously a parody, but again, art reflects life, and there's a lot of truth in it. But let me share an actual real article. Let's just see what it says. Let me get it up. Okay, so this is not a parody, by the way. Dear white feminists, we can do better. Step 1, please stop arguing with people of color about what is or isn't racist. Okay, so I haven't actually read this, so I just want to actually, it's probably going to be hilarious. This article was published by Everyday Womanism. It has been edited for Yes Magazine. I used to roll my eyes and scroll past articles that talked about racism. I can't believe I'm admitting that here, but it's true, I did. I'm a white woman, and I used to think that discussions about race didn't concern me. As soon as someone took a conversation about gender and began to add racial analysis to it, I would zone out. I used to think racism doesn't affect me, so why should I care? Ouch. I thought that race and gender were two distinct issues. But what I know now is, 1, intersectional womanism means that I should care about issues that don't necessarily affect me, because that's generally a good rule for being a decent human. I hate the way they always use decent human. And 2, the fact that I am a white person is exactly why I should care about racism. I intensely despise that kind of, like, I don't know how to describe it, but anyway. But before I knew those things, I was the very picture of white feminism. What is white womanism? If you're new to the term, a lot has already been written on the topic. A great place to start is here. Go read up and come back. I'll wait. I hate that condescending vibe. Like, another thing they say is like, get educated or get an education, Oh my God, these people, like, really. Let's just, yeah. Put simply, white womanism is a form of womanism, usually not always, practiced by some white people, usually, but not always, women, that sees gender as a separate issue from all other identities. White womanism lacks any intersectionality. Yeah, just this is obviously pure cancer, intersectionality. It fails to take other issues into context when it examines gender. Furthermore, white womanism is an antagonism of black people. An antagonism of black people. Well, it's an antagonism of humanity, I would say. I would, in a way, I'd agree. I'd agree with that. It's an antagonism of just people in general. Um, White womanism is pure cancerous. It just is. Uh, Often erases and invisibilizes other people of color from the conversation. Race is often reduced to a black and white issue when there are so many other races that need to be acknowledged. Now it is possible to be a white womanist who doesn't practice white womanism. What the hell is this? It's something that I strive to do every day. This is just okay. Regardless of my politics, my white skin is still oppressive to people who do not have it. That is the most condescending, obnoxious piece of absolute garbage I have ever written. It's actually these kinds of like this is like insulting to. I would, if I was a person of color, I would be just so pissed off if someone said this kind of shit. Like it's like putting themselves on, it's like putting themselves on a pedestal and saying, "Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about my skin color. I mean, you must be so oppressed by it." And it's like, you absolute piece of shit. Shut the fuck up. It's like when, I've talked about this before, when someone pities you, it's the most frustrating, it's one of the most frustrating things that can, happen to you, when someone like pities you and you don't want pity. I don't always succeed, of course. I'm still a white person in a white supremacist world who has internalized those messages. Dismantling them takes a lifetime. Oh, this is just pure vomit. Just pure vomit. Like, words cannot describe how much I really, really despise, this kind of ideology. That is what I hope to do with my womanism: dismantle white supremacy, among other things. As I was writing this piece, Nashwa Khan's Twitter gave me a really good nugget for thought about white people distancing themselves from whiteness versus dismantling whiteness. Pure cancer. These people, like, you cannot stay around. You cannot be around people like this. If there's anyone in your life that thinks like this, you just really need to you need to walk away. They have to be punished. Like they cannot like be part of your life, just under no circumstances. One of the ways I personally try, on that note, like if you ever are on a date with a woman like this, like be very, very, I would say be very careful. Like even with a smash and dash, like really be careful, because these women are intensely toxic. They're really, like, you wouldn't really know what you're getting yourself into. If you do a pump and dump, just make sure you have like everything like recorded, like messages and everything, so that it's like above board, that like if there's any allegation made against you, that you did anything untoward, just make sure you keep your messages, keep like a record of the interaction. If there was any sexting, if there's anything like that, like keep those messages. Like honestly, if I was on a date like someone like that toxic, I don't think, I don't know if I don't know if I could stomach it, even if they were really really hot. Even if they were hot, I don't think I wouldn't be able to bite my tongue. I just personally, when I go out on dates, um, I honestly I avoid politics at all costs. But if it has happened in the past where I've been on dates and women, bring up politics, and it's impossible. It's almost impossible to bite your tongue, because you just, that's why I avoid it, and you should avoid it. But if they start bringing it up, it's a massive red flag. It's a big old red flag, and you should take care. Like I said, if you're gonna if a chick has views like this, needless to say, it's a pump and dump at best. But if it is a pump and dump, you're definitely gonna have to, like, record, make sure there's a record of your messages or whatever. If there's any sexting involved, I would keep that. I don't even think that's paranoid. I think it's just good practice. One of the ways I personally try to remember that, despite my racial justice activism, I am not any better than other white people. I am not any better than other white people is that when addressing white folks who may not be at the same place in understanding racism as I am, I include myself in the sentence. Here you go with the absolutely sickening condescending attitude again. Absolute sickening. I vomit. Vomit person. These kind of nauseatingly condescending. I've come across these people exist. Like, these are not just internet like, I've come across chicks like this, and they're sickening. And you just don't want to be around them. They're dangerous people. They're dangerous people to work with. They're dangerous people to socialize with. They're just a real fucking thorn. Like, they're gonna be, yeah. You don't want really anything to do with them. So instead of saying, white people, you need to stop doing this thing, I say, white people, we need to stop doing this thing. What the hell is she talking about? It's a small tweak, but it's important. It holds me accountable and doesn't allow me to distance myself from any white violence I perpetrate myself. Any white violence I perpetrate myself. Honestly, this is oh, it's fucking hilarious. I mean, imagine being this deluded. The saddest thing about it is that these women like this actually make things so much worse. They really do. They do. They just make the situation worse. And it is possible that it might actually, make people who are not racist even more racist. I don't know, because it's like, it's like when the leftists, are calling, people Nazis for things that aren't really related to to being a Nazi at all. Calling people Nazis for maybe disparaging women. It's kind of, just the slurs that are used are just, they have no context. And there was just, basically, those kind of words were losing all their meaning. And when you start like calling young men stuff like Nazis, and it's like there's going to be a portion of the young men that maybe like say, oh, like they're told it so much that they might actually be like, oh, fuck it, all right, I'm at, like, maybe I am. And it's just a bad idea to call people Javier in the house. What is up, my man? What is good? Problematic. I'm a minority myself. I've never had an issue with anything. Good to hear. Good to hear. And it's not to say that there's not like issues of racism, but it's just the fact that it's so constantly blasted out in the media constantly and like incessantly. It's just, and it's just never ending. And it continues. At the end of the day, I am still a white person with white skin. Regardless of my politics, my white skin is oppressive to people who do not have it. It's one of the most sickening sentences I have read. Honestly, I'm not even, I'm not exaggerating when it says like this. Whoever wrote this like article, I like honestly, they sicken me. I just know I would despise them. I really would. It's just honestly, this kind of sentence is insulting to people of color. It's insulting because it's like, as I said before, it's like that like pitying kind of like, oh, I'm sorry for being so much better than you absolute piece of like it's, it has that air of like, oh, like this kind of aristocracy or something, looking down like, oh, the poor peasants, I'm sorry because of my skin color. Like just shut the like, you know what I mean? Really, these people are scum. And what I want to do right now is have a chat with other women who maybe think, like I used to, that race and gender are two separate things. Are you a white feminist who doesn't want to discuss racism? Hey, I get it. I used to be too. But here are some things I've learned that you might want to think about. One, we don't get to determine what's racist. Honestly, before I go on, one of the saddest things about this is like, I honestly think actually these like people who buy into this kind of ideology, I honestly think they're really dumb. I think they're just really dumb people, and they're just being kind of manipulated and used by the system. I think they're just really dumb idiots. How often do we see something posted about racism only to then see a bunch of white people jump into the comments to argue about why that thing isn't actually racist? For example, maybe someone calls out Kylie Jenner for appropriating Black culture with her braided hair, or maybe they're pointing out why white people wearing bindis is a fashion statement isn't cool. I thought the thing about multiculturalism is that culture can be shared, and but apparently that's not okay. We all have to like, that is the definition of like fascism, like, because like everyone has to separate their own cultures. Such a contradiction, like, imagine living in a multicultural, like a society where like if you're white, you can't have a certain hairstyle. If you're black, you can't do this, that, and the other. And it's like everyone has to like be 100% within their own culture. If they step out of it, they're like appropriating. Like, oh, it's absolutely sick. It's just sickening. And then a white person comments, just hair. It's just hair, or bindis have nothing to do with skin color. Or perhaps someone is venting about a racial microaggression they experienced when they were out to dinner, where they felt like they were treated differently by their server because they were black. For the love of God, please stop arguing with people of color about what is or isn't racist. Like everyone can experience racism, like no matter what color they're. It's it's just It continues, and the next thing you know, a white person swoops in to say something like, "Wait, how do you know it was because you were black? I think you're being paranoid. It was probably just because the server was having a bad night." But here's the thing, fellow white people, it's not on us to decide what is or isn't racist, because we don't actually experience racism. We don't actually experience racism. Oh my God, that is just, oh, it's just it's just funny. It's just funny. I mean, are we not human or something? Are white people not human? Like it's as um as Javier said, um, racism is a part of our nature as human beings. It will never end. Honestly, it's a sad. You're 100% spot on. I believe to an extent it is like, and the fact that people, these progressives say that just because you're white you can't experience racism. How are we not human? Are we not? Do we? We're part of the human race. Like I mean, there's other races. White people have been killed because of the race. Black people have been killed in the race. Every race, Asians have been killed. There's a whole conflict. I mean, even in Asia, there's mad amounts of racism. Like there's racism between Chinese and Japanese and Koreans, and there's just so much more to it. Like, but it's all we hear about is between black and white. And it's honestly, it is a divide and conquer. I strongly believe that it is divide and conquer. I believe it's I don't know, call me crazy or something, but I think it's a sophisticated, um, propaganda campaign to like weaken Western society. Who knows who's behind it, but it is working. Um, you know, it makes sense because of all the technology, and like we don't even know how these where all this, who's funding all these kind of articles, who's funding all these kind of media outlets. And you know I mean it's a lot more efficient than going to war. It's a lot more efficient than having to, because think about it, like a war can't really happen between America and China anymore. Like it can't, because they have nukes. You can't go to war because one, like if China attacked America, America would nuke, and vice versa. If America attacked China, China would nuke America. America could not beat China in a war, so they have to engage in other sophisticated kinds of conflict. I personally believe that. I don't think that's too conspiratorial of an idea. Um, Honestly, yeah, but and all the people that engage, like these all these white women that engage, in that believe this ideology, they're all victims of it. They're all victims. They're all useful idiots. They're all very low IQ people, that are just being useful idiots. They're being used by the elites to progress the agenda, divide and conquer. Yeah, so what does it say? The people who are experts on racism and therefore get to determine what is racist are the people who live it every day, people of color. Again, with the condescending attitude. It's just like, again, it's just like the biggest enemy of white men is white women, in my opinion. It is, like, because they're the useful idiots that are kind of apologizing on our behalf, on my behalf, for things that I don't engage in, or things, and it's infuriating. It's infuriating. What can you do instead? This one is simple. For the love of God, please stop arguing with people of color what is or isn't racist. Again, with the dehumanization, telling white people that they're not allowed to have an opinion, not allowed to argue, not allowed to express ideas. It's like, are we all equal or not? Like, you can't have it both ways. Are we equal or not? And yes, we are equal, so shut the fuck up. Everyone is allowed to have an opinion. You dirty scumbags. People are repulsive. Yeah. I don't always understand why something is racist or offensive at first, but I don't have to understand in order to say, oh, okay, I won't do that. I won't say that again. It's hilarious. And that this is like, there's so many cucks out there. But as I said at the beginning of the episode, it's like the only white type of white guys that engage, like, that accept that kind of cuckery, are cucks. Like, basically, are guys that that are like real soy, real pussies, like guys that be like, oh, okay, I won't do or say that again. I'm a good boy. I'm such a good boy. I want to be. I'm going to be so attractive to all these females. I'm going to get laid because of it. No, you're not going to get laid. You're not going to get shit. Um, you know, you're going to get me too. That's what's going to happen. What matters is that someone who has an identity that I don't says that something that I don't says that something is harmful. I don't. That's not very. That's enough for me because I don't want to hurt anyone. If all it takes is for me to stop doing or saying that thing, I don't think that's asking all that much. Yeah, you're trying to take away opinions and idea, from people having a voice. That's actually is a lot to ask for. Everyone should have a voice. Everyone needs to be loud. That's why censorship is the worst thing ever in my opinion. Censorship is absolutely disgusting, and that's what YouTube engages in, the Twitter engages in, that's what Instagram engages in. All the social media giants are censoring people and taking away their voices. Modern day book burning, and it's just disgusting. Yeah, let me see. Okay. If you want to be an ally to people of color, it's a good idea not to debate or discredit the lived experiences that they are sharing. Believe them as the experts on their own lives. Well, yes, everyone is allowed to express their opinions and they're allowed to share their experiences. So I agree with that. But also, white people are also allowed to share their opinions and experiences. Everyone of every race and ethnicity is allowed to speak. So these useful idiot white women telling white men and white people to not speak up and to shut their mouths. No, they're the ones that need to like fuck off, and that's a fact because like I said, everyone needs to be allowed to speak. Number 2, Black and Brown lives, white feelings. What? Okay. Have you ever read something written by a person of color and immediately gotten upset because it made you feel really bad? I have. Have you ever commented then about how hurtful the initial comments were? Maybe said something to the effect of, just because some Muslims are being profiled as terrorists and being unfairly targeted because of it doesn't mean you have to attack white people. Get involved with organizing other white people for racial justice. Yeah, I mean, anyway. If this feels familiar to you, I'd highly suggest that you refrain from jumping into a thread about people of color being victims of fatal violence to talk about your feelings. Because at the end of the day, Black and brown people are literally losing their lives at the hands of our state, simply because of the color of their skin. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not American, but I guess Black and brown people, I guess I don't know the stats, but I do know that races of all ethnicities get shot. And if you compare, if we're going to get into it, if we're going to talk about facts, it's sad to say, but like, people of color are, killing themselves at intensely higher rates than they are dying from getting shot by the authorities. But everything. That's why there needs to be justice. I mean, things should be investigated. If there are wrongful shootings, wrongful killings, there should be justice served. But ignoring the reality of the reality that the biggest killers of people of color are other people of color, and that's just a fact. but their lives are way more important than our feelings, always. We might feel a little uncomfortable with some commentary. They risk death every day of their lives. Here comes the hyperbole, whether they're in their home or outside of it. What does this do to like young, like impressionable, people of color? That would make them paranoid. That would make them feel bad. It's like they're being told constantly that they're victims, and that's not like I'm Irish, and I hate when Irish people go on about how they used to be, how we were oppressed by the British. I'm like, we've been independent for 100 years. I'm sick of like hearing about what happened in the past. Everyone knows what happened in the past. Um, there was a colonization of Ireland by Britain, but we've had independence for 100 years, and as we're talking about at the start of the episode, Irish is still like a minority language. There's more French speakers in Ireland than there are Irish speakers, and that's not the British. That's not their fault. We've had 100 years to get the Irish language up and running, but we haven't succeeded. That lays at the blame of Irish people. So, what is it, John? What is it? MLD says decrease the. What does he say? Decrease the blame and criticism of others, and increase the criticism of yourself. Look inward to improve. Stop complaining about other people, because we're all responsible for our own lives. These two things cannot be compared in any way. Anyway, what can you do instead? Sit with your discomfort. It's okay to feel uncomfortable, and it's okay not to understand why you can't talk about those feelings publicly. But friends of color shouldn't have to witness you working out your white guilt on their timelines. Oh man. Yeah. That's something you should do privately with another white person. Talk to someone else who is an ally, another disgusting word, ally, in racial justice about how you're feeling, and work it out with them. Yeah, everyone should be segregated and not talk to each other and like shut their mouths. Yeah. Real progressive, real cool, real awesome, real trendy. Get involved with organizing other white people for racial justice. Showing up for racial justice is a great organization of white folks, of white idiots, with chapters all over the United States. 3, being colorblind isn't actually a good thing, or a real thing for that matter. Just the reason I'm sighing is because I know that there's millions of this ideology is spread, is infected the West so bad. I'm embarrassed to admit that I don't see race. It's something that I actually used to say and aspire to make true. But it's something that white people say all the time when the subject of race and racism comes up. Or maybe you've said, we're all one race, the human race. In theory, this sounds pretty good, right? And while, yes, you should see everyone the same when it comes to their humanity and their inherent value, being colorblind isn't actually the same as not being racist. And in fact, it actually is racist. Someone's race affects the way they move through the world. I mean, to an extent, maybe, but as Javier said, it's in human nature. We have in-group preferences to some extent, but we should all live in civilized societies where people are judged on their merit, not on the color of their skin. But apparently that's according to white feminists, white womanists, that's that is racist in itself. Honestly, I don't know. This article is too much. It's a bit long, but it's all garbage. I'll just read the headings and see how stupid they are. What can you do instead? Refrain from not all white peopling. What can you do instead? It's a privilege to be able to disengage from conversations or thoughts about racism. What can you do instead? Discussing race with white people can be exhausting or even violent for people of color. Okay. Don't white-splain racism. What can you do? Yeah, I'm not going to read the rest of that because it's garbage. It's so toxic. It's so toxic, and they're such useful idiots. They make things so much worse. They make things so much worse. These idiots, these condescending, obnoxious, like just asshats. And I have like utter contempt for you know uh, people that have those ideologies. Um, let me see. Yeah, but let me see the comments. Problematic says, on the one hand, they say they love being independent and single, but inside they cry themselves to sleep every night. I hope they do. Problematic says, they think there's some invisible force going around oppressing people of color. Yeah. Javier says, slavery has happened to many races, not just black. Too much black people who look like me keep looking for freebies due to the past rather than opportunities that are in the future. Agreed. Like I said, I mean, same thing. A lot of Irish people talk, harp on about British colonization when, like I said, there's been independence in the Republic of Ireland for over 100 years. And yeah, I'm sick of hearing it. I don't, it's like sometimes you just gotta move on. But Gabriel E says, if that chick cared, she worry about the slaves in China. Well, that's an interesting point because, as I've said before, women do not care about justice or morals or anything like that. That's not the point. The reason these women harp on about these kind of ideologies is because it's propaganda that's pushed on them, and they believe it, and they think it's the winning side. They just want to be liked. The reason they push this and they write these articles is not because they think they're going to save the day. It's because they think it's trendy. It's a fashion thing they're into. It's a little accessory for them. And more importantly, they think they're on the winning side. Women will always choose the winning side. They think that this is the side to be on. This is it. Same thing happened with Second World War, Nazi Germany. When the Nazis invaded France, the French women, sided with the Nazi soldiers and slept with them and had babies with them and this, that, and the other. They war brides. Like it's they'll always pick the winning side, and that's one of the most annoying things about it. It's not that they think it's that they're going to save the day or they're going to end racism. It's just a fashion accessory for them. Problematic says, we evolved from tribes and that's how it used to be, so it's still hardwired in us. Yes, indeed. Gabrielle says, the US has lost every simulated war game against China since 2016. Yeah, it's just, like I said, there's no way. The US has nukes, China has nukes. You can't have a traditional war. Just think that is such a massive deal. The fact that you cannot engage in a traditional war with bombs and bullets. You can't do it. No, you can. America goes around bullying smaller, weaker countries, and they can't even beat them. America goes into the Middle East and bullies the Middle East and does this, that, and the other, and they can't even win there. So, it's like, think about it. They cannot engage in a war with big countries. So they have to China cannot engage in a traditional war with America, because they have nukes. So they invest in propaganda and technology and trade warfare and all this, that, and the other. So it's not even too conspiratorial to think that this is some incredibly sophisticated propaganda machine to really destabilize the West and make it, divide and conquer, make people, the sexes go at each other's throats, to hate each other, and the population declines, and people refuse to work together, and it just doesn't, it doesn't work, and it's working. Let's see. Javier says, you have to be racist to be in a war. You have to discriminate to not get cooked. Being judgmental is the plague to the gynocentric society we live in. Interesting. Matt W says, you have a right to be racist or non-racist. Doesn't fucking matter. If people want to segregate, leave them alone. If people want to eat ass of the same sex in their area, leave them alone. People just need to be given, liberty, freedom to do what they want. I guess. I mean, I'm all about freedom of choice. So, in a way, I agree with you. Matt says, the problem is the blanket globalist morality being imposed on every living person. Yes, indeed. Javier says, I've had more meaningful conversations with openly racist people than these asshats in the article. At least openly racist people are like, they are what they say they are on the tin. Like they're kind of, you can take them at their word or whatever, but these just like self-righteous, like, useful idiots, like, really, they're worse in a way. Yeah, let me see. Let me just, Spark55 says, watch Yuri Bezmenov. He talks about Soviet infiltration of the West. Yeah, I've seen that. It's very good. Let me just share. There's one thing I want to share. This clip I saw, and it's kind of off topic, but it's kind of on topic. It's I agree with everything the guy says, apart from the fact that I'm not religious. I would describe myself as an agnostic. I grew up Christian, but anyway, this guy he's talking about, you'll get it, you'll see it. Let me just share it. It's a little off topic, but kind of relevant, because it's just a short clip. Where is it at? All right. Okay.
This is the truth that we're living in. And Christ represents the truth, the light. We're going back to the light right now. And right now, darkness is walking the earth. And that is part of the darkness. It's an evil agenda to shut people's consciousness down and to enslave them. It's nothing else.
Well, we'll have to agree to disagree on that.
Yeah. What do you disagree about that?
We're asked to wear masks, and we.
By who?
By our, your prophet.
Again, useful idiots right here. And I see here what he said. It's an evil agenda to shut down people's consciousness. 100% on point.
For what?
To help just keep everyone safe.
Safe from what? What is COVID? What kind of disease?
Virus.
Similar to the cold or the influenza? How deadly is it? How deadly is it?
I don't know.
There's no argument. I'm asking an intelligent person. Are you educated? Are you a human? You have a responsibility to use the intelligence God gave you. And you're
Critical thinking.
not thinking right now. You're following orders. You're not thinking for yourself. You're not in touch with your soul. Because if you were, you would take that bullshit off and you would breathe freely, which is the #1 form of nutrition. And if you don't have proper oxygen, you can't have cognitive function. If you can't think right, you're easily pushed around and controlled and manipulated, as governments and religions have done, as I gave the example before of the communists and the people that have walked before us, like Mao Zedong, like Stalin, like Adolf Hitler. That happens, right? It happens, right? People get murdered and killed, genocide, correct? This is the first step. If you don't have a mask, you're just like the Jews in Nazi Germany with a star on their arm.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And I'm done with it, right? Because I came from California. They're double masking now. They're fucking with people's heads. And I don't like this. And this is the United States of America. And this is my free speech.
That's based as hell. He's so on point. I mean, the only thing I disagree with him is that I'm not religious, but I mean, if people have religions, I respect it, but it is what it is. But everything else he says is on point. And, you know, again, we have the usual suspects, you know, two white chicks, you know, basically the useful idiots, the enforcers, the minions for the elites. The minions they're absorbing the propaganda from the elites and the oligarchs and the people, whoever's pushing this. And they're trying to push us around. But because they're the useful idiots. They're the foot soldiers for the elites. They're the ones in the comment sections, the Karens, the people screeching at us, the people giving us dirty looks on the trains, and the people, you know, trying to take away our freedoms, trying to get us put in jail for trying to ask a girl on a date, trying to, you know, it's just it is an evil agenda. It's really divide and conquer. But Javier says 100% facts, 100% facts indeed. Problematic says, God, hearing those chicks speak make me cringe. Indeed. Because I'm told to by the elites, because I'm told to do it by the oligarchs. So I'm gonna fight for it. I'm gonna be a stupid little foot soldier and like spread my little, spread my little Karen ideologies. Trying to hate on people for living a free life. But yeah, guys, it's that's today's episode. Just a bit of a rant about the current state of things, but it is what it is. All you can do is like fight against it in your own little way. We're not gonna change it. We're not gonna change the current, like the tide is we're not gonna push back the tide. I think the tide is against us, but Luis Piazza in the house. What is up? What is good? You're gonna have to catch this on the rewind because it's coming to the end of today's episode 83 of Player Life. Let me see if I can get who I get for today's hot girl. Today's hot girl could be I've already showed her. Let me see if I can find one. Let me see. On a better note, I'll end it on a bit of eye candy today. On a bit. Let me see. Share screen. Today's girl is Hitomi. Hitomi is another hot babe in Japan, and there are plenty of hot babes like Hitomi to be had in Japan. So if you like this, you should try and travel to Japan or somewhere in Asia when things open up again. I'm optimistic. I hope things will open up. Who knows? It'd be sweet if things went back where, we could just travel like pre-2020. If you have the money, hop on a flight, take your passport, book a flight, take your passport, go to the airport, and hook up with chicks like this if you have game. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to end it on a bit of a more optimistic note, because there are large portions of planet Earth that have women that have not been wrecked, like absolutely wrecked by disgusting ideologies. Like these women, these kinds of women, trust me, guys, they don't give a shit about politics. That's one of the best things about it. They do not care. They don't care about politics, and it's amazing. It's amazing. They're not interested in it. They don't hate men. They don't have some like. They're not yapping. They're not screeching at you. They're not like. Honestly, guys, I'm not going back. I'm not going back to the West. If they'd have to drag me back. Just they're winning on so many levels. Yeah, same thing in China. You find women like this. They don't care about politics. They don't talk about it. They care about fashion, cooking, traveling, art. Just very feminine things, and it gives me hope. It gives me hope because you can find girls like these large portions of the world. We think that this is all over the world. It's not. It's a Western problem. It's a Western problem. Javier says, I'm started learning Japanese on Duolingo. Good stuff, man. You could come over here, man. So like you find a job, if you get you could definitely, if you learn Japanese, you could get a career, or come over here and work for a while. I'm sure you're not going to want to leave if you get over here. Pretty sure of that. Matt W says, Saint Pat, the Catholic that drove out Gnostics, serpents of Ireland. Happy day. It is indeed St. Patrick's Day. St. Paddy's Day, indeed. Didn't celebrate it here in Tokyo, but I've celebrated plenty in the past. But yeah, guys, I'm going to cut it there. Thank you again for joining today's episode of Player Life. As usual, like, comment, and obviously, I presume everyone in here is subscribed, but if you haven't subscribed, spread the word too. Share the links. I want to at least get up to 400 subscribers. I'm almost there. Ideally, I'd like to get to 1,000. Gotta get there, but yeah, 400. I'll be back tomorrow night for another episode. So check out the links in the description. Peace out, guys. Catch you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.